Okay, so the next flower that we're going to do is a water lily. So this is a cute little centerpiece potentially. If you make it big, it could be really pretty for like a table centerpiece, or you can use it as a almost in place of a center stone on a crown or something. I think they're very pretty. I was going to make this with origami paper, but I do recommend actually on this one using printer paper, something a little bit stiffer that is going to be a bit more forgiving when you start to do the more complicated folds towards the end. Let me move these out of the way. So when we start with printer paper, any rectangular paper, I'm going to have to start by making it a square. So the easiest way to do that is you just take one corner, fold it until it's even with the other side, crease there, and then you'll notice that you have this bit that sticks out. I just like to take that, fold it to meet up with that bottom line. Once you have that back, just either cut it off with scissors, or because I can't cut in a straight line, I just usually crease it with my nails a few times, and then just tear off the excess. Occasionally it doesn't want to tear in a straight line, and that's fine. That is what scissors are for. Also, if you have a paper cutter, that's even better. You can get a guaranteed straight line with that. Okay. So once we have our square piece of paper, we are going to crease both of these straight lines. The other thing that you will notice is that when you cut printer paper like this, it is significantly larger than your average piece of origami paper. So it will give you a bigger end result. But anyways, once we get this folded, we are going to take these points and fold them into this center point. So just kind of rotate it around, fold them all in. Try and get them as straight as you can. It makes it easier for me if I rotate it to fold them. Okay, and then the next step is to do the exact same thing again. We're going to take these 4 points into the center point. These little flaps will try to fold in strange directions on you, so you have to kind of hold them down as you're folding. Make sure that nothing moves and gives you a weird crease where you don't want it. Okay, so once you have these 4 corners folded in, we're going to flip this over, lay it flat, and do it again. 4 corners into the center. And especially if you're using printer paper, your paper starts to get a little thick at this point. It might take a little more effort to get it to crease nicely and to stay folded. Just take your time, have some patience. If you need to run over the edge of it with a pen or something, if your fingers start to get a little tired, using like the back of scissors to enforce your creases definitely works and can save your fingers a little. Okay, so once we have these folded into the middle, we are going to fold these tips each back so that they're about folded here. So that will leave it like that. We're going to do that on all four corners. They don't want to stay like that. That's fine. We don't really need them to. Okay. And then once we get these four tips folded back, we're going to turn it over. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky and requires a bit of a delicate hand. You have to be forceful but delicate at the same time. Is where we're going to make the petals. So you have to take these flaps, we're going to gently pull it back and around to the other side. It seems like it doesn't want to do this step. The paper will resist you. Just push in the sides, just however you can, get it turned around without ripping your paper. If you do rip it, it's fine. Nobody will see it probably. As long as you don't point it out, it will be fine. So just fold it over, there. And eventually you will get to a point where it just kind of folds flat like that back here, and you'll see your petal comes up, it kind of curves a little bit. That's the outside petal of your lily. So this is where the printer paper is very helpful. Origami paper, while nice and thin and great for folding, is also very thin and weak to ripping. So it is much, much easier to rip your paper while you're doing this if you're using origami paper. This step does take a little bit of patience. If you try and do it too quickly, you will almost guaranteed rip your petals. But just take your time, follow what the paper wants you to do. Don't try and force it too badly, and it will fold nicely for you. And also, practice makes perfect. After you've made a few of these, oops, you will only rip one petal. Okay, like I said, little rip. You won't even notice it when the whole thing is done. So this last step is a tiny bit trickier than the first. We are going to take this second layer and do the same thing. Now this one is only a single layer of paper, so you have to be a little more careful with them. But it also, because of the angle, it sometimes can be a tiny bit easier. Alternately, it can be harder. Just do the same thing, just gently, if you rip it, oh well, kind of fold them around. There is a technique to this. I have yet to discover what it is. Just going to fold. Can guarantee that they will rip. It's okay. That method seemed to work easier, actually, so that's what I'm going to do on this next one. Just grab it from the front and pull a little. I think I found the technique. Okay. This method works. Grab it from the center, push down, pull up, gently but firmly. That sounds like an oxymoron, I promise you. It makes sense when you start. And that will give you, kind of open your petals a little. There. And that will give you your little water lily. This would also be kind of a cute little container if you want to put some other things inside of it. Use it to hold lucky stars, use it to hold candy. If you make a bigger one, it could be a very cute candy bowl.